All right, I believe we're live. I'm gonna watch for it to show up on my other monitor here before I can get started. I want to make sure we're good to go. Yes. All right. Cool. Cool. Welcome everyone to another live Q&A session. I did this last month in the celebration of opening up the Dynamous AI Mastery community, and I just had an absolute blast with you guys. Did that for like 2 hours straight, the live stream. And so, because I had so much fun with it, I just want to kind of do this maybe once a month, something like that. So it's about a month later I'm doing this right now. So yeah, I might kind of make this like a repeat thing because I have a really good time with it. So same kind of setup as last time where I'll be able to showcase different comments from you guys, and I'm just going to be focusing on Q&A for today. So nothing with, I'm not going to like showcase a project or build something out right now, though I would love to do that in future live streams. But right now, just having a good time and chatting with all of you. So welcome everyone. Jason said your feed is sending the other screen. Oh, I muted my stream. Maybe that's what was happening. But yeah, so I can click on any one of these comments here, display it so you guys can see the certain comment that I'm addressing or question or whatever. So Spirit Box said, "Good morning from Canada. This is going to be an awesome stream, way better than Saturday morning cartoons." Well, Saturday morning cartoons are actually pretty awesome, so that means a lot. Thanks. Midnight in Oz. Hello, AI God. Hannah said, "Hi, Cole. Nice to see all you guys." Hello from Brussels, Cape Cod. We've always got people from around the world. That's one of my favorite parts about these live streams. That's also the reason that I do these early in the morning. So it's 9 o'clock Central Time for me right now. 9 a.m. that is. And so I do these in the morning instead of at night, like when I typically post my videos, so that I can have as many time zones as possible. I know that for Australia, like Jason said, it's not the best time, but it's the most I can do, because then at least like all of US and like Germany and like South America and all that can be here. So yeah, speaking of that, hi from Brazil. So yeah, cool to have you here from Brazil. So yeah, I think with that, we can just kind of dive right into things. If you guys have questions in general, anything around AI that you want to talk about or ask about, you can feel free to throw it in the chat. And what I did last time, I'll try to do my best to do something similar this time, is just going through the questions in the order that I received them. And so last stream, there was so many questions that I wasn't able to get to all of them. And it might happen this time too. We'll see. What's our audience looking like right now? We have 72 people right now, which is awesome. Thank you all for being here. So we'll see like how many questions roll through. But then also like if there's just general things that you want to chat about, we can certainly do that as well. It doesn't have to be all like focusing on questions. It can be just like, even if I want to like share my screen with you and we'll like dive into a new tool that came out or look at something like that, we can do something like that too. So we'll just have fun with it. I mean, that's the whole goal of this stream here. So let me see if I can find the first question here. Looks like there aren't really any, well, there are a couple questions at the bottom, but I'll get through some other comments first here. Spirit Box, first of all, you're doing incredible work and thank you for sharing so many tutorials and knowledge. You're very welcome. I appreciate it a lot. And I'm going to keep it up. Like, I'm not quitting anytime soon. I'm just every single week, 2 videos, always a lot of value packed into them. And then I'm doing a lot within the Dynamous community as well. Which I will kind of mention Dynamous a couple of times throughout this stream, just because it is like the biggest thing that I've got going on right now, along with my YouTube channel. A lot happening there, so maybe within like 10 minutes or so I'll talk about that a little bit, but I just want to first start with getting to some questions here. What do you guys think about Clara? Okay, so are you talking about Claraverse specifically? Maybe I could just like dive right into sharing my screen so that you guys can see what this guy is talking about here, because a lot of people probably don't know what Claraverse is. So let me switch to my scene mode. Let me move this a little bit as well. All right, cool. So the way that this works is I have my YouTube stream open on my left monitor, and then I have OBS, my recording and streaming software, open on the right-hand side. So when you see me like looking around at different monitors, that's what I'm doing right here. So I switched to scene mode so you guys can see, I believe, what what we got for our question here, which is Clariverse. So this is actually kind of like my local AI package. It's a kind of just like a package of a bunch of different local services, but it's more built as like a complete application, kind of like Open Web UI, but with a lot of different features built on top versus like just providing local services for you to hook into with your agents and applications. It's pretty cool. So I don't want to like dive into a demo of it right now or anything, but I know a lot of people within the Dynamous community specifically. A lot of people here have been talking about Clariverse, and yeah, like you can like build agents within Clariverse, and you can chat with different LLMs, like local ones that you have with Olama. And there's like all the features you would hope to have in a chat interface, like attaching images and files and things like that. Like in this example right here, you can see they're using Gemma 3 27B for their LLM, so they're connected to Olama. Like this is a really nice looking interface. So yeah, my thoughts on Clara, I think it's a really cool application. I haven't gotten to dive into it a ton right now, but like you can also build N8N workflows directly within their UI. I don't know how they did this, but they embedded N8N directly within Clara, which is super cool. And then they have like a ton of workflow templates and things like that. Here's the agent builder that I was talking about earlier. So you can like add in tools, kind of like you can do in Open Web UI, but even adding in things like long-term memory and advanced system prompts. Now they have their own kind of app builder, which kind of looks like something like like Langflow or FloatWise or VoiceFlow. Pretty cool. So yeah, I actually appreciate this question because I know that like I said, a lot of people in Dynamous specifically have been interested in Clariverse. It definitely seems like a promising tech, and it's completely open source. That's always the biggest plus with something like this. And they only have I'm still looking at my screen here. They only have 2.1 thousand stars on GitHub. I mean, I say only, that's still awesome, but like they deserve more, I think. Like it's a really cool thing. So yeah, good question there. Let's see. I'll go on to the next one there. Okay. I kind of already answered this. What are you using for video editing and live streaming? Yeah, so for recording and live streaming, I use OBS. And then for video editing, I actually keep it really simple. I just use CapCut. There's a free tier that pretty much has everything you would need. I know a lot of people are more like purists, like, oh, you got to use Adobe Premiere or DaVinci Resolve or something like that, like something that's way fancier. But man, I find that CapCut just does the job for me because I want to have like decent production value with my videos. But it's more about just like diving into providing a lot of value with you guys, like with my open source projects and the code and the examples I show. Like I don't want it to be super flashy because my videos are all about being really practical for you. So yeah, I keep it simple with my editing. Good question though. You should make a video about Chatterbox. I've not actually heard of Chatterbox. So maybe I'll look into that. It seems let me look. I'll Google it quick just so I can maybe it'll ring a bell too if I see the site. Chatterbox. Okay, well I found something. Chatterbox.io does not seem to be. No. Okay. Oh, is it the thing from Resemble AI, text to speech? This must be it. I'll go ahead and share my screen again. This is what I'm looking at for Chatterbox. This is probably what you're referring to from Resemble.ai. First production grade open source text to speech model, licensed under MIT. Okay, I mean that looks really cool. Whether you're working on memes, video games, or AI agents, Chatterbox brings your content to life. Okay, nice. I love it. Let's see. zero point 0.5 billion parameter Llama backbone, trained on 0.5 million hours of clean data. Easy voice conversation or conversion script outperforms 11 labs. Okay, that is a bold claim. If they actually outperform 11 labs, okay, then wow, okay, this is pretty cool. Yeah, thanks Mohammed for sharing this. I'll look into this because I'm always down, especially like I always say, for things that are open source. I am always down to cover them on my channel when there's a real value for it over other things that might be similar. Which, if they truly are better than 11 labs, like that alone is enough to make this worth covering. So. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right. Next question. I appreciate this question. How are you so productive? You drop so many valuable videos in such a short time. Well, okay. I know this is kind of like a cliche cop-out answer, but really it's just driven by passion, which I hope really comes through my videos. But like I'm just so passionate about AI and just the things that we can automate with it and building agents that it's easy for me to pour myself into it day in and day out. And so like when I build out my open source projects, or I'm building out other demos or showing you how to use AI coding assistants, like all those things, like I'm just doing it every single day constantly. Like that is my life. Like a lot of people ask me what I do with my time in general, and more last year and the year before, I was doing a lot more of like getting into the weeds and like building things for companies and for startups. More recently, though, I've mostly been investing my time in YouTube and then Dynamis. Like that's where my focus is. So just constantly providing you guys value, building things for the Dynamis course and for demos for YouTube and working on open source projects. Like that does take up a majority of my time, because that's where I have the most passion. Like teaching, giving these kind of videos and pouring into the Dynamis community. Like that's where I invest my time and where I find the most enjoyment. But I appreciate you asking that. um, let's see, what else we got? Great job on your recent process map with key milestones. Can you briefly walk us through it? Yeah, so are you referring specifically to my roadmap for learning how to build AI agents? I assume that's what you mean by my process map. So maybe I could pull that up really quickly here. So I could share my screen. I mean, I don't want to like spend too much time going through this, but for those of you who didn't get to see my video on my full process for learning how to build AI agents, I covered that here. And so maybe I could just share my screen. Give me a moment because I have to pull it up. So by the way, when I build those like fancy roadmap presentations that you've seen a couple of times on my channel before, I use a tool called Prezi. So actually I can go ahead and let me share my screen. Boom, boom. Okay, I'll move it down like this. Okay, that looks better. So this is my process for learning how to build AI agents in 2025. And I made a video on this recently. I just realized that my face is covered by the chat in the bottom right. I don't really know if I could fix that right now. Let me try something. I'm going to move my video up like this. Oh, there we go. Okay. Now I'm over the chat. That looks better. Cool. Yeah, so this is my process for building AI agents, and you can definitely check out the video. I don't want to pull the link to it right now, but it's very recent on my channel for building AI agents. And so if you start from scratch, you go to phase one. If you already are comfortable with AI agents to some degree, you could start at some point within the roadmap, but I focus on learning the foundation of building AI agents and when you want to build your own agents versus using things that are more out of the box. And then my biggest recommendation that I've been pushing for a very long time is when you're first getting into building agents, start with no code tools like N8N and keep it simple. Just learn the basics of what it means to build AI agents and always learn by doing. It's important to not just focus on theory and not build anything. You want to actually get your hands dirty whenever you're diving into learning anything in general. This goes way beyond just AI agents. I've had those courses in college where you read a textbook and you take a bunch of tests, and those courses suck. I don't learn much. The ones that I learn the most in are the ones where I really get my hands dirty. And so that's a big thing that I focus on throughout this roadmap is learn by doing. And then moving on to mastering AI coding assistants, then getting into coding your own AI agents with the help of AI coding assistants. And I have this process that I've shared on my channel before, and I have this as a core component to the AI Agent Mastery course in Dynamous. You always want to start by prototyping with a no-code tool, and then move that agent to coding it, because code gives you a lot more flexibility and scalability and speed. And so learn by doing, as in take the version of your no-code agent and turn it into a coded agent. There's a lot of different frameworks that help you with this that I cover on my channel, like Pydantic AI and LangGraph, and the OpenAI Agents SDK, a lot of options out there for you. And then getting into more advanced architecture, like guardrails and fallback systems, things that actually start to make your agents truly reliable. Because there's a big issue with large language models in general where they hallucinate. And so when you have your agents that are making decisions about tools to use and ways to interact with your environment, like Gmail or Slack or whatever, sometimes they just mess up. And so having guardrails is really important. and then learning how to like deploy your AI agents so you can actually bring it into the cloud, into a production environment for your users, and setting up monitoring as well so you can watch how your agent is performing in a production environment. Like, this is the kind of thing that's so important to learn when you really start to dive into building production level AI agents that you're delivering to clients or building out a platform or like a SaaS around. Like, you have to learn these things. And a lot of people don't focus on this enough. Like, I'm talking about like other content creators and just people when they're first learning how to build agents, they don't think like, oh, I have to actually like take things this far. Like, I can't just vibe code my way to building a full SaaS product. Like, I got to learn how to deploy agents and manage them in production and evaluate them as well. Like, making sure that they are actually working well for the different like use cases that you have for them. And then the other part of the roadmap, which just kind of gets into something that I wanted to talk about anyway, is that it's super important to master AI with other people and don't just do it alone, especially because like AI is not easy. AI agents and building those to like truly solve real problems is not a super easy thing. And so that's why I started Dynamous AI. It's like an extension of my YouTube channel where I dive even deeper into what it takes to build AI agents, how to do it. I've got daily events like office hours and workshops, templates and resources. I have a whole course that I'm building out right now. I'm building AI agents from scratch. So, I mean, if this is interesting to you, definitely check out Dynamous AI. And maybe I'll take a second here to switch my screen over so I can show you guys what it looks like. So I'll open the screen back up. This is the Dynamous community. It's in a platform called Circle. Started this last month. I've been pouring my heart and soul into it. And I actually recently released another module to the AI Agent Mastery course. I'll show you this here. So this is the course. Module 1, it's an introduction. Module 2 is all about planning our AI agent and picking our infrastructure. Module 3 is prototyping it with N8N. Module 4 is building the full agent with code using my favorite library right now, Pydantic AI, for building agents. And then I just released Module 5 literally yesterday, which is all about building full applications around our agent, like turning it into an API and building out a front end with a tool like Lovable, Supabase authentication and rate limiting and file uploading. Like, man, I have a full template. Like, I'll give you guys a little teaser of this. Like, this interface right here is the full like agentic application that I built around the agent in the course. And so, yeah, I've had a blast making this and releasing that to the Dynamous community like just yesterday. So if you join the community, you get instant access to this. And then I also did this optional bonus workshop yesterday as well, like along with the release of this, where I dove into using tools like the Vercel AI SDK and Copilot Kit for building front ends in a like really, really easy way. So anyway, a lot of value that I have packed into here. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it for that. I know I took a long time there for that question on going through the process, but I did appreciate that. So let me go back to the chat here. Okay, a lot of questions to get through, so all right. I won't spend as much time on most questions. That was just something that I think would apply to a lot of people, and then I did want to talk about Dynamous a bit as well. But yeah, so another question: what gives Pydantic AI an edge when you can get a structured output from a framework like Crew AI? Yeah, so structured outputs and just like data validation in general, that's not the only benefit to Pydantic AI. The reason that I prefer Pydantic AI over other AI agent frameworks, even though other ones like Crew AI are also fantastic, is just because I feel like I have the most control when I'm building my agents with Pydantic AI. A lot of libraries, agent frameworks like Crew AI or Agno, I feel like they try to do too much for you. Like, it makes it easier to build with them. Like, don't get me wrong, building an agent with Crew AI is easier than building with Pydantic AI. But a lot of times, because they have so much kind of like out of the box for you, there's less room for you to customize things. So you might hit a wall where like you want to format the output from an agent specifically, like in a specific way. But you can't do it because you don't have access to like the underlying response from the agent in the same way. I know that's a little vague. It kind of takes a while to dive into like the really specific things that have made me prefer Pydantic AI over the months of using these frameworks, but I definitely feel like I just am able to do anything I want and customize the agent in any way that I want with Pydantic AI. And then, like, for example, just the way that you can stream structured outputs with Pydantic AI, I haven't really seen it being done well with other frameworks. And like, you can validate the JSON as the structured output is being streamed, and it's just super powerful. So, yeah. And then also Pydantic AI, they have this whole idea of graphs, like being able to implement agents as graphs, which is just like a really powerful abstraction. If you want to get a little bit more technical, you can dive into the whole idea of graphs in Pydantic AI. And I just think that's super good. So yeah, good question. Um, let's see here. What do you think AI agents will finally evolve into in the next year? That's a loaded question. But no, that's a good question for sure. A few things on this. I think this will be interesting for a lot of people, so I want to spend a minute on this one too. The first thing, I think that websites in general are designed for humans right now. But I think within the next year, a lot of websites are going to be designed more for AI agents. So, like, instead of a human having to go to Amazon.com and search for their product and look through reviews and like find the um, the best version of the product for them, like, it's going to be an AI agent that guides them through the website. Like, you just say what you want from the website and it'll pull things up for you and summarize information. Like, I think that websites are going to be structured a lot differently in the next year, basically to make the entire internet more like agent driven instead of human driven. So it's us more using a tool, kind of like, you could think of it like Perplexity, like some kind of like search tool, aggregation tool, but like built into each of the websites that we'd want to use, like e-commerce stores like Amazon, for example. I definitely see us heading in that direction over time. And then, like, also AI agents, like right now they're used in almost every company, but not a lot of like really enterprise level companies are using AI coding assistants yet. Because it's just a long time to adopt these things when there's so much risk involved for having your developers use AI coding assistants. But I think we're going to start to see that like truly get adopted as well at an enterprise level for like all, Fortune 500 companies or just like massive companies. Um, and like for some big companies like Anthropic, for example, I don't know if you guys know this super interesting fact. Anthropic already has 70% of their code written by AI. Like, it's crazy. Like, this super successful company, their annual revenue just surpassed $3 billion a year, by the way, for Anthropic. And 70% of their pull requests to their repo is just from AI. And we're just going to see like so many more companies following suit with that, using AI coding assistants, which is why I focus so much on AI coding in general. And so, yeah, there's a lot of other ways, Sandeep, that I can answer your question too in different niches and things, but those are just a couple of the 2 cents. There are some really interesting tidbits. So, yeah, good question. Austin for LightRag. Haven't heard you talk much about LightRag besides your one tutorial. Do you think it's not as good as alternatives? Best RAG strategy currently, in your opinion? Yeah, really good question. So, LightRag I liked a lot, but I felt like it was kind of slow. Maybe I guess that's sort of the biggest hesitation that I have with it. I thought it was powerful though. And the thing that I always say, because you're asking at the end there about the best RAG strategy, the thing that I always say is that you can never have to just pick one RAG strategy. You can combine many of them together. And that's one of the reasons I cover so many different things on my channel, like knowledge graphs with light RAG and graffiti, or agentic RAG, contextual embeddings. So many different things that I've covered and things that I have yet to really cover, like hybrid searching and re-ranking and query expansion. Like, man, there's so many different strategies, and you can combine a lot of these together. And so LightRag is actually an example of this, where like they have their knowledge graph and they have a vector database, and you can search in both, and your knowledge is stored in both. And so it is really powerful in that way. And you could always use light RAG or graffiti like just for the knowledge graph. Then you have your own custom implementation for RAG where you implement your own strategies like agentic RAG. You can certainly do that. Um, and so, yeah, like I do want to cover light RAG more potentially, although I have really enjoyed graffiti recently, and that's why I made a video on it recently. They are pretty similar. And so, yeah, I might be focusing more on graffiti. We'll see. I'm curious what you guys think for sure. But yeah, those are just kind of my thoughts in general on that. But yeah, RAG strategies, there's so many that are out there, so many that you can use together. So yeah, looks like there's so many things coming in the chat now that I'm starting to lose some of the top comments here. So yeah, I'm gonna have to go kind of quicker here. Um, Another question here. What do you think about Clara as an N8N killer? Well, I already shared my thoughts on Clara. It's not an N8N killer, though. It solves a very different problem. In fact, N8N is a part of Clara. Like I showed you when I was sharing my screen, you can embed it within the platform. So, yeah, absolutely massive. Thank you, Cole. You're very, very welcome. Your videos and guides help me wrap my head around newer AI systems and get a job. You are a legend. Oh, that's awesome. Well, congrats on getting a job, and that means a lot to me. So, thank you very much. I appreciate that. I have a question for you. When you want to create a new TypeScript app, which boilerplate do you use? I went from Next.js plus ShadCN to the T3 stack. I'm using those to play with the AI SDK framework. Yeah, so I've never actually used the T3 stack myself. Well, okay, I have to remind myself what that is because it's TypeScript and isn't it like Tailwind and then what else is there? Um, okay, let me look. I forget now. Tailwind, TypeScript, and TRCP. Yeah, so I haven't used TRCP myself. Well, here I guess I can share my screen. So the T3 stack. I think this was kind of like I don't know if it was released by Theo. There's a guy on YouTube named Theo. And I think he's kind of the founder of T3, or at least he's like a big supporter of it, proponent of T3. But it's a stack for building front-end applications, and I believe the three T's are TypeScript, Tailwind, and TRCP. And then it's meant for Next.js, and then it uses NextAuth and then Prisma for the database management. I think Prisma is an ORM, so it's a way to like connect your front end to your database, like MongoDB or like Postgres or Supabase. So very powerful stack. I haven't used this myself though. Typically, when I start an application for the front end, there's two ways that I do it. I'm either going to just use Next.js and like use the like npx create next app, like that's how I do my boilerplate, or I'll just create the application in an AI coding assistant like Lovable, and I'll just use their general stack, which is usually like React plus Vite, and then they do ShadCN for their components, and then I think Tailwind CSS is like always there as well. And so I like doing that. I like Next.js a lot, but also when I'm building things with like just React and Vite, it's oftentimes a lot faster. And usually with Next.js, like you use that when you want to use like their whole like API system as well. But a lot of times I like building my APIs with Fast API and Python anyway. So yeah, a lot of it depends on the tools you want to use as well. Like what you called out, like you're playing with the AI SDK. And with the AI SDK, like yeah, you want to use Next.js, and so then using the T3 stack, that makes a lot of sense. And like I said, I haven't used this specifically, even though I've kind of like used all these components individually at some point in my development career. But yeah, I mean this is really good, and I've heard a lot of people that use this a lot. So yeah, good question. I'm gonna go back to me now. And I'm curious what some of other you guys use too as well for your front ends. And I know that like with AI coding assistants these days, a lot of times like that boilerplate is just created for us, and then we just bring that in to our local computer through GitHub or whatever. Like if we're using something like Lovable. So yeah. All right, there are so many questions. I'm definitely losing a lot of the chat here. So I apologize, guys, if I don't get to your question because, so I guess I can show you the way it works. I'll share my screen again. So I'll just show you what it looks like on my end. So you see all of the messages on the right-hand side of my stream. This is my view, and I can select a question to showcase it. But all of the messages, they get cut off at the top once it's been going for a while, and I can't go back and click them. And so I have to kind of like skip around through questions because of this. And so if there's one that I don't get to that you really want me to answer, then you can definitely feel free to post it again. But like, I mean, yeah, the chat is so filled that I won't be able to get through everything as much as I could. Like I said this in the last live stream as well. Like I wish so bad that I could answer every single one of you guys' questions. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to get to all of them. So I'll focus on as many as I can, and then especially the ones that I think will apply to the most people. So yeah, another one here. I've been using Agno for agents. Do you think I should use Pydantic instead for agent building? So it's a good question, Matt. It comes down to how much you want to balance, or it comes down to a balance of simplicity versus control. So if you're building with Agno, and you find it really easy to work with, because it is easy to work with, and you're not really hitting any walls right now with like, oh shoot, it's doing too much for me, and like I don't know how to customize this, then definitely stick with Agno. It is a great platform. And I know a lot of people that are building like production agents with Agno, just like Pydantic AI. So my general recommendation, when you're starting with something and it's not the same as like what I recommend, I'm not going to just tell you to like ditch what you're doing and move to like the thing I like the most, but maybe try it out. Just try out Pydantic AI a little bit. Try with it, a prototype for something. Just see what you think of it compared to Agno. Make that choice for yourself. Because, like I said, a lot of it comes down to a balance of simplicity and control, just what works best for you, what gives you the best experience when giving agents. Because in the end, a lot of these frameworks, they can all be used to build very production level AI agents. Like, just to list off a few here: Pydantic AI, OpenAI Agent SDK, the Google ADK, Crew AI, Agno. Those are probably like the biggest five, and then like LangGraph for orchestrating agents. Like those are like the best frameworks that I know of, at least in the Python ecosystem. I know there's like Mastra as well for JavaScript. I think someone asked about that actually in the chat, so I'll get to that question eventually. But like those are like the best frameworks, and like you can pick any one of those, and you can just absolutely run with it. Like another Mateo here, Agno is very good. Like yeah, I know a lot of people that really like Agno, and so. Oh, and yeah, okay, so a lot of people really like Agno. Maybe I should cover this in a video. Actually, let me know, guys, if you'd be curious for me to like dive more into different frameworks. I typically I try to like pick one thing and stick with it for the most part, so it doesn't feel like I'm pushing like many different options and just like making content just to make content. But like if you guys want me to cover more frameworks, like let me know, because I'm definitely interested in doing that. Um, but yeah, Agno's awesome. So anyway, back to like the last thing for you, Matt. I was just gonna say like any of those frameworks, just pick one and run with it, because they're all really good, and I know all of them are being developed like very actively. Next question: what's the most difficult thing in making and maintaining AI agents? Most difficult thing is, well, I guess to start with a very simple answer, it's making the agent go from good to great. And the way that you do that is through evaluating your agent a lot. And so if you were there when I shared my screen earlier with my process for learning how to build AI agents, at the end there, that whole step of like learning how to evaluate your agent and tweak things based on the results of that evaluation, like that's like the biggest kind of end part of building agents, to really take them to being great. And like there's a lot that can go into that, and it's not easy. So I would say like the most challenging part is like really like evaluating your agents effectively to know how to actually improve them once you've built like that MVP or initial version of your agent. um, let's see, do you have an AI agent built that gathers data across socials? So there's a lot of gray area around like scraping social media, especially LinkedIn and YouTube. There's a lot of like, sometimes your scrapers will get blocked, and like you shouldn't technically do it. So I haven't built an agent that like I have running constantly for that. Though I have worked with, scraping MCP servers, like Bright Data, for example, browser based. There's a lot of MCP servers for crawling different social platforms, and then like you can even use Crawl for AI if you want to do that. So I've experimented with that kind of thing before. But like I don't have an agent that's like built as this full template that I could just share right now. But yeah, I mean, it is a good use case. Like having AI just like be that research assistant for you, and like looking at different social platforms and other kinds of websites. Yeah, that's definitely a good use case. So I mean, maybe I actually, that could be an agent that I build out live in a live stream. I'd totally be down to do that. And there's a lot of ideas for agents that I just want to build in general, live with you guys. And so I think the next live stream that I do, I'd really enjoy doing these just Q&A sessions, just focus on your guys' questions. I love doing that. I want to keep doing that, but also just spicing it up sometimes and like showcasing, like, let's build something in real time. I think that'd be really cool too. Let's see. Next question from RS. Do you have a Discord community? Where can we interact, build, discuss AI together? Hey, good question. So the answer for that, and then actually, yeah, so the answer for that, let me go ahead and share my screen again, is the Dynamous community. So yeah, this is the community that I started last month that I'm just gonna, kind of share again really quick before I'll move on to the next question. But like, if you want to dive deeper into mastering building AI agents, I got a full course in here. I've got a community filled with, 680 people right now that we got in the Dynamous community. Really, really active discussions going on every single day. And I got events every single day. Like I got my event calendar here. So like, yeah, if you want to dive deeper into building AI agents, this is the place to go if you want to dive deeper with me. So yeah, I'd highly recommend checking out Dynamous.ai if you're interested in going deeper into building agents. And so I don't have a Discord community or anything. Like this is the next place to go after my YouTube channel. And of course, I'll be continuing to put out a ton of content on my YouTube channel. And like 2 videos a week, like I'm going to keep that up. I'm not going to stop giving a ton of value here within my channel and doing these live streams and stuff. But Dynamous is where I will, continue to go deeper. And then, let's see. Also, we had DIY Smart Code. This is a guy actually on my team, by the way. So hey, Thomas, glad to have you here. I saw you had a question right before this one that I lost. Something about like the local AI package in Archon. If you want to repost that question, I would appreciate that because I just lost it when I was sharing my screen to talk about Dynamous again. So if you want to share your other question, I would appreciate that. Because I'll showcase it again. I'll watch the chat and see if you post that again. Yeah, all right. Looks like we got a donation. I got a donation as well. Cool, thank you. I appreciate the donation. Thank you very much. In the last stream, I tell you have Archon ready with Google ADK support. Now I also have OpenAI ADK support ready. I can contribute in Archon. That's awesome. I'd appreciate it if you have a pull request ready for Archon. Though I will say that I am planning on changing Archon a lot to make it more focused on like the RAG and documentation component versus the agent builder. But I do want to have that still be a part of Archon to some extent. So a lot more coming for Archon soon, definitely. Ways that I'm evolving it, I'm kind of changing the vision of it, which I've shared on my channel a bit already, and maybe I'll get into that more later. But yeah, I mean, that's awesome. So I appreciate you working with the Google ADK and OpenAI Agent SDK because they're both really good frameworks, like I was talking about just like 5 minutes ago. So thank you for that. And then, okay, so just giving a quick briefing about the plan for Archon and the local AI package. Yeah, okay, so I'll definitely spend some time talking about this because yeah, I appreciate this. Big things for everyone here. So my 2 biggest open source projects are Archon and the local AI package. And maybe I can actually share my screen quick. Let me pull these things up so that we have a nice visual here to go along with what I'm talking about. So let me pull up Archon and local AI package and share my screen. I'm getting fast at this. Look at that. All right. So this is Archon, my open source AI agent builder. This is an MCP server and a standalone application. So MCP, you can actually like hook it directly into your AI coding assistant like Windsurf, Cursor, Rucode, ask it to build agents, and it will use Archon to get the documentation for Pydantic AI. Right now it builds agents with Pydantic AI, and then it'll output that code to your AI coding assistant to build that into your environment. So that's Archon. And then the local AI package, I've actually probably been putting a bit more work into this one recently just because I've been wanting to build this out. The local AI package is a bunch of open source tools that I've curated together to pretty much like make it so that you can run this one thing to have your entire environment set up to build local AI agents. Like we have self-hosted N8N, Supabase, Olama to run our LLMs, Quadrant for RAG, Neo4j for knowledge graphs, SeerXNG for local and private web search, LangFuse for open source LLM monitoring. Like all these platforms combined together. And so I've been pouring a lot into this as well. Because I think local AI is super important. Like being able to have privacy and control over your LLMs and your entire infrastructure is just so crucial for a lot of different use cases. And so these are like my 2 big open source projects that I've been working on recently. And so my plan for the local AI package is actually in a pretty good state right now. Like I've been working on this one the longest. In fact, the most popular video on my entire YouTube channel is the one where I introduced the local AI package. That was like way back in September. So unfortunately, I haven't had another video like blow up past that one way back in September. But yeah, I mean, it was a really cool video, and this package is awesome. And so like another thing that we've got going on with this is actually Thomas, who asked this question, that he's the guy that I have showcased right here in the bottom left. He's helping me work on a user interface for this so that we can like manage our environment variables and like select the different services that we want to include in our stack, and then it'll like generate a custom Docker Compose file for you to like just run the things that you care about, so you don't have to run Flowise and Quadrant if you're not using them, like that kind of thing. It's like kind of a way to customize the local AI package for us. That's what I've got going on for this. And like I said, completely open source and free. Like this is just my way to make it really easy for you guys to run your entire local AI infrastructure. And then for Archon, Archon started as what I like to call an agent tier. It's an agent that builds other AI agents. And I released quite a few versions of this over time. Let me see. Yeah, so I have like the project evolution here in the README if you want to check this out. And actually, I think I'll post both the links to this in the stream here. So give me a second. I'll post these links. So I'll just say Archon, boom, and then local AI package. I'll paste that link if you guys want to check these things out. And then I guess I should also call out Dynamous as well, because I've been talking about it, but I haven't actually shared a link to it yet. So there's Dynamous as well. So I'm putting those links in the chat for you if you want to check out Dynamous or Archon or the local AI package. Archon, though, I'm thinking about changing a lot. Because right now, there's kind of two big parts to it. There's the building up the knowledge base so that it can use that to build agents, and then there's the actual agent building itself. And a lot of people have been telling me, like, you know what, the coolest part about Archon is actually the crawling and the knowledge base building that you have behind the scenes for RAG. And I want to lean into that more, because it uses Crawl for AI. That's the library that it uses to get information, like get the knowledge base created for Pydantic AI, and then soon other libraries as well. And then you can use that as like a RAG knowledge base for building your agents. But what I have been doing, and let me search for this here. I've been working on this other MCP server called Crawl for AI RAG. And this is kind of like a more general version of Archon and just focused on the knowledge component. And so you can scrape any website, and it handles like a ton of different formats that you have, like LLMs.txt and sitemaps, and it can like recursively crawl full websites and like figure out all the pages that it needs to crawl if you just like dump in a homepage URL. And it creates a knowledge base around those things, and then you can use that as an MCP server. Like you can just go ahead and plug it right into, like your Windsurf or your Cursor or N8N or your custom agent. It's really cool. And so I'm going to eventually build this into kind of like an Archon V2, where I'm going to build this as like the backbone, the knowledge backbone for AI coding assistance, kind of like Context 7. Like I can show Context. It's kind of like Context 7. But instead of having this like massively bloated library, I mean, I appreciate Context 7, but like it's not open source. It's super bloated. What I want to build is a way for you to make like your own private knowledge base with just the libraries and tools that you care about for your AI coding assistant, with the things that you want to build into your projects. And then also, I got a video coming out on this on Wednesday, but I'm actually working on additional RAG strategies as well. So like you can like toggle these different strategies that are used for like hybrid search and agentic RAG and re-ranking. So I've got some cool things coming out for this as well. And then eventually building that into Archon. So I'm going to do like a huge overhaul of Archon, where I still might want to have like the whole agent tier thing as like an optional part of it, but then more focusing on knowledge and even like building it into kind of like a taskmaster for your AI coding assistants as well. So yeah, all of that to say, big plans for Archon and the local AI package coming up here. So I appreciate you calling that out, Thomas. So let me go back to the chat here. Let's see. Another donation here. Thank you so much, Bro Truth, for your donation. Have you heard of the Last Mile MCP agent? I have not, actually. Let me look this up quick. Anything that I haven't heard about, when you guys mention something, like, I gotta look it up. I gotta see what this is. Last Mile MCP server. Build efficient agents with the model context protocol using simple composable patterns. Okay, looks interesting. Inspiration. Anthropic announced 2 foundational updates for AI app developers, MCP and then building effective agents. I assume this is their article. Yeah, okay. So this is an article that Anthropic put out that I've covered before, where they just like dive into different patterns for building agents and multi-agent systems. Like we have like the routing pattern, for example, where you have one LLM that routes to other LLMs. So I guess I haven't heard of this, but I know immediately what this is. Like they're taking these different patterns for building effective agents, and they're creating this as an MCP server that like has that expertise, and like here's how you build good agent architecture, and then you can add this in as a server to your AI coding assistants. I believe. I think that's what it's doing here. I don't know. I'd have to look into this more, but this actually looks really interesting. So I appreciate you sharing this. Man, you guys are giving me all the resources here. I'm gonna have to come out of this live stream with like 20 new ideas for videos to cover, because now I want to cover Clara. I want to cover the last mile MCP agent. I want to cover Chatterbox. That was another one shared. And I want to cover Agno and the Google ADK. Like, this is what happens every single time I do a little bit of brainstorming or chat with people like you guys for like things for my channel. I always come out with 50 new ideas, and it's cool, but it means that my list is always growing. Like, I don't know if I've shared this with you guys before, but when I first started my YouTube channel, like way back in, it was like the very beginning of July of last year, I had like 30 ideas for videos that I wanted to put on my channel. And then within the month of July, I released what, like 8 videos, because I do like 2 a week. But my list didn't go down to 22. It went up to 50 because I knocked off 8, and then I had like 28 more ideas for videos. So yeah, that's how it always goes. Like, man, I'm never going to run out of content for you guys, because there's always platforms to show. There's always ideas I have for things to build out Archon and the local AI package, and there's new strategies that come up for RAG, and so I want to get into the nitty gritty of that, and things like graffiti and covering knowledge graphs. Like, oh, there's so much cool stuff. And that goes back to the passion that I have for AI in general. When someone asks how I'm so productive, like I'm just on fire for all these things constantly as they're being released. So yeah, good question. I appreciate the donation as well. And then Deepak for a $50 thank you for the donation. I appreciate it a lot. No question with that. But yeah, thank you very much. Let's see. Okay, so Mateo said, what I learned a lot from Agno's CEO. Level 1, agents with tools and instructions. Level 2, agents with knowledge and storage. Level 3, agents with memory and reasoning. Level 4, teams of agents with collaboration and coordination. Yeah, I think that's solid. Like, if you're learning how to build AI agents from scratch, like going through those levels over time, making sure you understand each one in detail, that's a really good way to learn agents overall. And then my warning with that, though, is just like, don't over engineer. Like, there are a lot of times where you might be tempted to build multi-agent systems because it's cool, but it's actually going to be over engineering. Like, a lot of times you can solve the problems that you need to solve with just a single agent. But yeah, I mean, like, still a lot of use cases need multiple agents. Then level 5, agentic workflows with state and determinism. Yeah, lots of good stuff. 50-year-old entrepreneur from Poland, want you to know that you're providing a lot of value. I appreciate it very much. Thank you. What do you think of the A2A protocol? Yeah, so I haven't covered this in a while, but I did do one video on it on my channel, I think like a month ago now. Time flies so fast, guys, like seriously. But yeah, I haven't seen too much change with A2A recently. Maybe I've just kind of been out of the loop. But yeah, I still want to see this protocol develop out more before I really start to like cover it heavily. But like, yeah, it has a ton of potential, like I talked about in that video on my channel. So definitely the video on my channel where I introduce it, like that's still mostly how the protocol works. So definitely check that out if you're interested. A2A, by the way, for those of you who don't know, it's a protocol developed by Google that creates the standard to connect AI agents to other agents. So they can like learn in real time what another agent is capable of doing, so it knows like what requests it can send to another agent. So you can have like a distributed multi-agent workflow kind of thing. It's very powerful. A lot of potential, like I said, with it. An idea for Dynamous AI, a map of member location, anonymized, of course, across the world. Yeah, actually, I've gotten this suggestion a few times, and I am interested in doing this. There are a lot of improvements that I have that I want to do for the Dynamous, just like I have, a million ideas for YouTube videos, and this is one of the things on my list. There's actually one guy in the community in particular that I've been talking to where I think he might actually help me build that out. Maybe some way to like use the API for my platform to like pull location data, anonymize it, and then like create some kind of world map with like pins for everyone's location. Yeah, I mean, that would be cool, and I'm thinking about that for sure. Theo was just discussing Convex. It's a fresh take on backend architecture, and it's incredibly appealing. I have heard good things about Convex. And in fact, people have been talking about Convex in the Dynamous community as well. A couple of people. It's like kind of an alternative to Supabase, but then also I believe it does more like integrating directly in the front end as well. And then there's another YouTuber. Maybe I'll share my screen again. Let me pull up YouTube quick. Here, I'll showcase a couple of YouTubers in a second. But let me pull this up here. Boom, boom. All right, getting fast. Cool. All right, so I got an ad for sunglasses for some reason, but okay, so I did a search for Theo and Convex. So this is Theo. This is the guy behind the T3 stack as well, by the way, that I was showing earlier. Did he cover it in my current stack? Is this his video where he talks about Convex? I don't, because I don't actually see it directly. But then like Web Dev Cody, this is another YouTuber that has covered Convex.
Every single week there's a new
Raz Mick is another YouTuber that I respect a lot, and he uses Convex as like something directly in his tech stacks. Like that's the purple, red, and yellow logo that you're seeing right here in one of his thumbnails. So yeah, it's a great platform. You kind of like don't use Supabase if you use this. Oh, here, I'll do a quick search for Convex. It is a reactive database for app developers. So it replaces Supabase, and I think some other things as well, because it's like integrating directly in the front end. That's why we have like, you know, TypeScript files here in their demos. So I think it kind of like replaces your front end ORM and Supabase. It seems really powerful. I haven't used it myself before. Though I think you've just added yet another thing to my list that I'd want to look into and potentially cover. Because yeah, like when you want to build like really interactive agentic applications, you need a really powerful backend. It's something that can very easily integrate with the front end. And like I like Supabase for that. I do use Supabase for that myself, but Convex is another really good option as well. And they are open source too, like Supabase. Yeah, open source reactive database for app developers. So yeah, it looks very appealing. I definitely agree. You can self-host it as well, which is good, because that's what I do with, wow, that is a lot. Convex works well with a variety of tools, including Neon, Fly.io, Vercel, Netlify, SQLite, Postgres, boom, boom, boom. Yeah, I love it. And yeah, and if I'm understanding a little incorrectly, like what exactly it solves compared to Supabase, like let me know. But yeah, I mean, it looks really powerful. There's so many good things to cover. And kind of like I was saying with AI agent frameworks, like you don't have to constantly be thinking like, oh, should I switch from Supabase to Convex or Convex to Supabase? Like just pick one that like, you know, has good support and ideally open source and that's working well for you, and just run with that. Like you don't have to like constantly be battling in your mind like, oh, do I need to switch? Do I need to switch? Do I need to switch? Like it's not like that. As long as you're picking something that isn't just like falling apart. Like LangChain, for example, is a library that it's kind of become a mess over time. Like that, I wouldn't recommend LangChain, but like out of other frameworks, you know, like Crew AI, Agno, and Pydantic AI, like those are all like really solid options. Another donation here from Stevie. I appreciate it very much. Check out Search R1 GBR, Gain Beyond RAG, recently released technique. I have actually looked into GBR. Not too much. I kind of just like grazed through some resources on it. It seems kind of like, maybe I was wrong in understanding this, but it seemed kind of like my whole idea of like agentic RAG and agentic search. Like giving your agent the ability to look at your knowledge base in different ways, like different vector databases or different search strategies. So it didn't seem like super new to me, but maybe I do have to look into it more. Yeah, yet another thing to add to the list here for sure. But yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you for the donation. What's your favorite agentic design pattern, especially for incrementally improving a task over time or scraping the web for specific information? So first of all, thank you for your donation. I appreciate it a lot. Especially for incrementally improving a task over time or scraping the web for specific information. Those seem like two very different things. So maybe I'll kind of address your first one first, or your first question. So favorite agentic design pattern. Well, let me go ahead and share my screen, because that Anthropic article that I was referencing earlier, that definitely is my favorite, or like it has my favorite architecture within it. So let me go back to sharing my screen again. So This is a article that I've shared on my channel before, and actually maybe I can throw it in the chat here for you guys. So put it in the chat just now. This is something that I would highly recommend checking out. Building effective agents. By the way, Tristan, I see your chat that you're getting censored. It's got to be something automatically by YouTube because obviously I'm busy talking to all you guys, so I'm not censoring you. Don't worry. So I'm not totally sure why. I would I wouldn't really be able to fix that for you. It's got to be something automatic from YouTube. Um, yeah, I don't know. Could be YouTube like something wrong with your account. You could try a different YouTube account. I'm not really sure. I'm sorry. I'm not sure what's to do for it being censored there because, like I said, it's all automatic. But anyway, I'll get back to the question at hand here. Building effective agents. So this article, it covers all of the most popular architectures for building agents and multi-agent systems. And so they start with an overview of what an AI agent looks like. You have the different components to your agent. Like you have the LLM. This is your brain behind the agent. This is where you put things like your system prompt for the instructions for your agent. You have tools, so it can do things on your behalf. And you can also like have RAG, so it can query external knowledge, like we've been talking about in this stream, like what I'm building out with Archon and the Crawl for AI RAG MCP server. And then you also have memory. These are things like short-term memory, remembering the conversation that you're in, and then also long-term memory. So it can build up a knowledge base of your goals and preferences and instructions and things like that. So that's what makes up an agent, the core components of an agent. And then they dive into different strategies for combining agents together. And so this kind of gets into the design patterns that you're talking about. So like you have one LLM and then that output can go to multiple LLMs. So you have this chain here. Like for example, maybe one LLM is going to generate a post for LinkedIn and then that goes to another to generate a post for X and then another to make a blog post. Like you can combine LLMs together in a workflow. And then for routing, you have one LLM that's going to decide like which specialized agent should I use. And the reason that you want to have multi-agent design patterns in general is because you can only give so many tool calls to a single LLM before you start to overwhelm it. Because the descriptions for each of the tools and the tool itself, like that's included as a part of the prompt to the LLM. And we all know that the larger the prompt is for your LLM, the more likely it is to hallucinate and miss specific parts of the prompt. And so that's why we want to have multiple agents because we can make them specialized. Like maybe this is going to be our finance agent, and this is going to be our customer support agent, and then this will be our internal metrics agent, like for example. And then like when we have requests where we want to leverage one of these specialized agents, we can have this router that will figure out like, is the user's question related to finance? Like, okay, yes, it is. Let's pass it on to this, finance specialized agent. So that's like the routing pattern. And then you can have parallelization where you'd have multiple agents running at the same time, maybe to like handle different parts of a problem. And then it comes into an aggregator here to like synthesize all of the work that was done from each of these agents running in parallel. And by the way, I am kind of just like listing off these different design patterns, but like these are my favorites. Like I reference this article so often because this really does cover like all of the good agentic design patterns in working with multiple agents. And then you have something that called the orchestrator worker pattern that's kind of combining these two ideas together, where you have an orchestrator that's going to kind of like prep the task at hand, like taking in the request from the user, dishing it out to many different LLMs, and then you have a synthesizer at the end. So like maybe this is a deep research agent, and you have one agent that's like maybe you're researching for a new company, and like one agent is going to do like competitor analysis, another agent is going to do market research, and then another agent is going to research like the best niche for your product. Like something like, I know it's kind of a random example, but like each of these is going to do a different part of the research. And then all of the outputs are going to go to the synthesizer that creates like that final summary of the research and then sending that back to the user. Another very powerful pattern. And then the whole idea of evaluator optimizer. This is kind of like an output guardrail where you have one LLM that evaluates the output of another. to do checks. Like you might be able to evaluate the sources that are cited from RAG and make sure that like they actually are legitimate sources. Then if they're not, you reject and go back to the agent. You'd say like, hey, you hallucinated, like you made up sources here for this RAG search. Like do it again. Actually, like use real sources. That kind of thing is really powerful because that's something we see with a lot in general. It's like an LLM will hallucinate, it'll make up books or it'll make up sources when it cites it from RAG. And so like having an evaluator, and that's just one example of when you'd want something like that, just kind of as an output guardrail. Those are really the core patterns. I mean, the rest of this doesn't really dive into specific patterns. I would say most agents you're going to be building around that kind of thing. And then the other thing that isn't really talked about here is more like diving into input and output guardrails and building systems around that where those guardrails can be agents themselves. That's probably the only thing I'd add into this, but yeah, that's what I would say. And then as far as like incrementally improving a task over time, you would probably want something like an evaluator optimizer or using tools like long-term memory so that the agent like remembers things that it did before and like maybe corrections that you gave it for how to operate. And then also like incrementally improving, a lot of that is just changing the code for your agent as well, like changing the system prompt, changing the tools after you evaluate the agent and figure out things that it's doing wrong. So yeah, good question. Let me go back to chat here. All right, I gotta get things organized after these questions sometimes, so give me a second. All right, there we go. Cool. Another donation. So I mean, I will prioritize the donations just because like I appreciate it a lot. I know that that's got to make sense for you guys here. So I'll go on to the next one here. Thank you so much for the $10 donation. Cole, do you know about Claude Code parallelization? You can integrate Claude Code into an IDE as a terminal and have Gemini 2.5 Pro orchestrate task load while Claude Code can parallelize itself for concurrent tasks. Yeah, this is so cool. I've kind of been starting to look into this recently because yes, I do know about Claude Code parallelization, and actually, I am seriously looking forward to this. Let me share my screen again because I'll just show you that like there is something exciting happening related to this actually in the Dynamous community. So let me close out of this and go to the events tab here. The community workshop. So I do a workshop every single week in Dynamous on Fridays. And there is someone in the community who is really diving deep into using AI and specifically like parallel coding with Claude Code, like exactly what you're talking about here. And for the first time ever, I'm having a community member come on and host a workshop alongside me. And so he's going to be doing that, and he's going to be diving into his process for AI coding assistance and covering a lot of like parallel with Claude Code because he does that all the time, and he does some insane thing like one-shotting MCP servers left and right, and like oh my gosh, it's so cool. So yeah, I think that there's a lot of evolution happening as we speak with AI coding assistance, with like augment code and new strategies that are replacing RAG for AI coding assistance, and like Claude Code parallelization to like knock different tasks in parallel, or even do things like A/B testing for your AI coding, so you can have it try to tackle a problem like 3 different times and then find the one that worked the best. Like there's so many cool things happening for AI coding, and so this workshop happening next week is actually going to be covering this. And so if that sounds interesting to you, I mean, like hopefully like your investment into the Dynamous community could like be made worth it like from this event alone. It's going to be so cool. So yeah, definitely check out dynamous.ai if this is interesting to you, and as well as like all the other things that I talked about as well. So like I don't want to dive into like what Claude Code parallelization looks like right now, but yeah, just know that like it's legit, and man, I'm definitely going to be investing some time into diving into it more. I use Claude Code Max with Vertex AI free tier. Yeah, nice. Yeah, another donation. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you for your open source content of such quality. You're very welcome. I implemented a local coding agent for a C++ project and will try RAG for index codebase with Archon. That sounds good. I haven't heard C++ in a long time. People don't usually do a lot with agents with C++, but that is really cool. So yeah, nice work. Yeah, I mean, like in general, for AI agents, I basically only ever see Python or JavaScript because we have like all those Python frameworks that I've been talking about. And then for JavaScript, we have like, you know, the Vercel AI SDK and Copilot Kit. and also like Mastra, which I have been, by the way, guys, like I've been looking through the chat even for the questions that I haven't showcased, so I'm still kind of like getting a sense of what you guys are talking about here. I know that a couple of you have mentioned Mastra, that you want me to cover Mastra. So yeah, I appreciate you guys saying that. I am paying attention to as much as I possibly can in the chat here, even though I can't get to all of the questions. Yeah. Okay, another comment from AAA Gaming here. Look at graffiti knowledge base using triplets for coding projects. Yeah, someone else mentioned triplets for graffiti, but I didn't see that in their docs. So I'd be curious. And then something called Game Beyond Reach. So yeah, someone else mentioned GBR already. That looks like another thing that I really need to look into. Looks like you're pulling another all-nighter. Is that in reference to just all the things I have to look into? Because yes, it does feel like I'm gonna have to pull an all-nighter just to like look into all these things that you guys are sharing. Because man, there's so many cool things to look into. Um, yeah. All right, what else we got here? Yeah, also you need to cover Unsloth AI for fine tuning. Yep, that actually has been on my list for a long time. So a lot of these things that you guys are sharing, like I've recently added to my list, or you're showing me for the first time, like Chatterbox. But for Unsloth, like I've been wanting to cover that for so long now. Though fine tuning, I feel like it will be a bit of a harder video. That's why I haven't done it for a while, because like it's kind of like very separate from all my open source work, and like things around like building AI agents. Fine tuning is really good though. Like I want to cover that for sure. All right. Let's see here. Next question. How low per minute cost can we bring down the cost for AI voice customer support agents? Well, I mean, this depends a lot on your use case, because really it's like if you want to bring down the cost as much as possible, you just use the absolute cheapest LLM and provider that still works well for your use case. So that's going to change a lot, especially like depending on the platform that you use. But like with Vappy, for example, for AI voice agents, like you can use Grok as your provider for something that's like really fast and cheap. I've seen that work well. It depends a lot though. Yeah, but like when you want something to be cheap, just yeah, try the cheapest LLM possible that like still works well, and then run with that. And then make sure that you're considering speed as well. That's why I mentioned Grok as a provider, because it's super fast. That's GROQ, by the way, for the provider name. Over engineering is my drug of choice. Yeah, that's right. In the agent space, I'm 100% with you there. Yeah, because it's just so tempting to build really complex things so that it just looks super cool. Yeah. Yeah, Tristan asked, can I run Bolt new any LLM on a container with Qwen API without any other costs but the Qwen API costs? Yeah, definitely. So Bolt.diy, my open source AI coding assistant, fork of Bolt.new, the official open source Bolt.new, it is entirely free. And so yeah, you could definitely just like pay for, and I say entirely free as in like everything except the LLM that you use through the API is free. And then you can even use Olama if you want to run Qwen locally to make it entirely free. But yeah, certainly if you want to use their API, you can do that, and then that would be the only thing that costs you something. Or you can run it entirely locally, like I think is what you're getting at right here. Let's see. You can integrate Claude Code into VS Code as a terminal, and have Gemini Pro delegate tasks to Opus 4, which can parallelize when appropriate if you put it into the Claude.md. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, there's so many cool things you can do with Claude Code and parallelization. Oh, and then Ara said it's the top video convex. Okay, so I must have missed, I just brain farted and missed that when I was searching Theo on YouTube. But yeah, I'll have to go back to that, because I'm always interested in looking into new platforms. Like, I'm not that kind of person that I pick a tool and I just like stick to it, and like never am willing to adapt. Like I use Supabase right now, but like I'm willing to look into Convex and maybe use that instead. I mean, probably not, because I have looked into it to an extent, and I still think I like Supabase more. But I'm down to be that person that looks into things, and that also just means like for you guys, you don't have to worry about me, pitching something like Pydantic AI months and months after something else is just legitimately better. Like I will be switching to something else if there is something that comes out that's just clearly better. And maybe it's something else that just develops into something more mature. Like maybe it's the OpenAI Agents SDK for example, and like that just becomes
Or
better.
something else is just
I mean, I don't think it is right now, but like it could evolve into that point. And so, yeah, I mean, like I definitely. Wait, hold on, I lost my chat here. Sorry, my YouTube live stream just crashed. I hope that everything is good still. Hold on, that's not fun. Yeah, sorry, my page crashed, and so I think I might have lost a couple of comments here. If someone could wait, actually, yeah, could someone say something in the chat really quick? That's weird. I just lost it. My chat is not changing. Uh-oh. Hope I didn't lose my internet connection. One moment. Let's see. So I said something, or I asked to say something in the chat, and I'm not seeing anything. Oh, all good on my side. Okay. Whew. Someone finally said something. Oh, I guess it's probably just because of the stream delay. Okay. All right. Good. Sorry. I was talking to you guys on my front monitor, and then on the left-hand side of the corner of my eye, it just like everything just crashed for my YouTube stream. So I have no idea what happened there, but glad we're good now. That was really weird. Um, yeah. Okay. All right. We're good. We're good. Cool. All right. I'll keep going on then. By the way, the plan for this live stream is to go maybe another like half hour. I think that would be pretty good. I always go really long with these because I just have so much fun with you guys. Like time flies by. It's already been an hour and 10 minutes, and it feels like it's been 10 minutes, not an hour and 10. So I just always have a blast with these. So thank you guys for being here. I appreciate your questions so much too. Really means a lot that you guys come with these good questions, and it just always makes these sessions really engaging. Spirit Box. Wait, yeah, here we go. Okay, there's a delay with that. You came to the right place. Check out Cole's videos. The one 5 days ago was amazing for beginners and intermediates. I appreciate it a lot. And check out the Dynamous community. Yeah, thank you for the shout out, Spirit Box. I appreciate it. Langflow is cool. Yeah, that is another platform that I haven't really covered on my channel that I do appreciate as well. It's very similar to Flowwise, which I did cover on my channel at one point. Oh, that was the wrong thing. I meant to click on this one here. Building into scraping/knowledge. Would you add subscribers to the website to fetch changes and update your knowledge base for the sitemap to see if a page is added or deleted? Yeah, so that is part of what I want to build into the MCP server with Crawl for AI. Is like some way to set up a process that'll like keep the documentation updated as it changes. So that is one of the things that is coming as I just continue to build out this MCP server. Because right now it's like if you want to update the docs, you just have to tell the AI agent to scrape it again. But then definitely like I want to make it so that you can like set up a background process for sure. I think that's what you're getting at, and that definitely is important. All right. See what else we got here. I might have lost a couple of messages, so I apologize for that. Because the stream crashed for me, so I had to like re-pop out the chat and things. Let's see, another question here. Why do you use only Python in your RAG videos or other tutorials and not with JS/TS? Yeah, so the biggest reason for this is just because most people are using Python to build AI agents. And so as much as I do appreciate TypeScript and JavaScript and that whole ecosystem, I mostly just use it for the front end because I want to cover things that apply to the most people possible with my videos. And like also because like Python is the most used, it also means there's the most libraries and support within the ecosystem for building agents. And so that's why I focus on that. But like we were talking about, like Mastra is another JavaScript framework for building agents that I would love to cover. Like I definitely don't want to just like never talk about it, of course. And like when it is appropriate, like it actually is super good. When I find something that's really good, like I do want to cover it. Like that's why I talked about AGUI with Copilot Kit recently on my channel. I probably want to do a video on the Vercel AI SDK at some point. And I actually am using that as a demo for something in my video on Wednesday. So I talk about the JavaScript, TypeScript ecosystem. And then for RAG specifically, like I guess I probably would cover that if I make a video on Mastra, which I am interested in doing. Yeah, but good question. All right. Got a couple of people asking about MongoDB for agents. I haven't used MongoDB for AI agents before. In fact, it's been a couple of years since I've used MongoDB at all. And so I wouldn't really be able to answer your question. Though I will say, just like if you guys are curious why I haven't used MongoDB in such a long time, I I used to really love NoSQL tools, MongoDB, but then even more, I actually really loved using Firebase at one point, which is a platform from Google. It's kind of like MongoDB. It's just like a NoSQL database platform. And I use those a lot. In fact, when I was first building AI agents, I was actually building with Firebase, like way back in the day when I first started making agents. Like before function calling was even a thing, I had to like implement my own custom function calling using GPT 3.5 Turbo, if you can believe it. Like way back in the day, and I use Firebase. But the thing that I love about SQL databases, and this is why I love using Supabase and Postgres for my database, for my agents, is because large language models, they understand SQL so well. And so a lot of times you'll have an agent that manages like conversation history and state and things like that in Supabase or Postgres, anything with SQL. And then you can have another agent that can like write queries to help you like analyze trends and patterns for your agent. Like looking at different requests and like doing filtering, like writing SQL to do that. And I actually did try to do that with Firebase at one point. I tried to create this agent that could like generate small scripts to query Firebase. So it'd like generate a script in real time to like add in custom filtering to like pull conversations and like do analysis. And it never really worked that well. And part of it was because I was way back in the day when we just had like worse LLMs. Like GPT 3.5 Turbo is obviously a lot worse than Claude 4 Opus. But it's still like SQL queries were just so much more robust. And like when you want your agent to understand a database schema, you can literally just take the SQL create statements for your tables and just dump that into the prompt for your LLM. And then it instantly knows the exact structure for your table, which you don't even really have a set structure with something like MongoDB or Firebase. So that's why I've definitely shifted over time to using SQL. And I feel like SQL is like making this huge comeback. Like there was this big trend at one point, maybe, like I don't know, around 2015, 2018, whatever. Like NoSQL is just this huge thing and everyone was always using it. But I feel like SQL has really made a comeback, especially Supabase. Like everyone's always talking about Supabase and using Supabase for their agents. So anyway, that's my 2 cents. But otherwise, yeah, I haven't used MongoDB in a long time. All right. Here's the real brain buster. What's your favorite ice cream flavor? This Q&A has been great. Thank you. I appreciate it. You're very welcome. Favorite ice cream flavor depends on where I'm going. But generally, I love peanut butter cup ice cream. Like the at Dairy Queen, the peanut butter cup blizzard. Or like going to Culver's because I'm from the Midwest. I'm from Minnesota, so Culver's is like the big thing. Definitely, I put peanut butter cup in my my Culver's concrete mixers. But yeah, and then also Moose Tracks ice cream. Like if I'm just getting like Kemp's from the grocery store, that is always a banger for sure. But yeah, I appreciate the silly question once in a while. So thanks for that. Let's see. All right. Is it good to use relational database for AI agents, or is it just too much? No, I love using relational databases for agents, like I was just talking about. It's my favorite way to manage conversations and messages, and even RAG, like using PG Vector and Postgres, that extension for RAG. Absolutely love it. So no, it's not too much for sure. Will you be covering Taskmaster for AI coding at some point? I do want to, though also kind of going back to what I was sharing with my Crawl for AI RAG MCP server and Archon, I eventually want to build it out into being something kind of like a Taskmaster as well. So having that be more ingrained, like going along with the whole knowledge base and process planning and like making that the master MCP server for AI coding instead of having to use a bunch of disconnected tools. And so, yeah, really good question, but I think maybe not. I don't know if I will cover it because I kind of want to build that out myself. And it is a very powerful tool, but just like I want to make something that has it all. It's a big initiative, but it's open source, so I can have you guys help out as well. So yeah, Cole really makes it easy to get the basics and build off them. I appreciate it. There are some other great YouTubers in the field. Depends on your level of computer science experience, but use AI as an assistant. Yeah, definitely. Like AI can help you get started with building agents or like anything that you want, any kind of automation that you want to make. And I do agree, Spiritbox are other great YouTubers as well. Some of which we've even already talked about on this live stream. Let's see, I'm gonna scroll down a little bit. For some reason, I'm seeing a lot of repeat questions. I don't know if people are just posting the same thing multiple times or if there's a glitch in my streaming platform. Not really sure on that. I don't really know. How easy is it for a script kiddie to learn LangChain? Did you check the Volt agent and AutoGen? Yeah, I mean, LangChain is pretty straightforward. I don't prefer it over a lot of other frameworks. I feel like it's kind of become a mess of pre-built tools and abstractions over time, but it's easy to learn. Like, I would definitely check out LangChain if you just want something super simple. Though also I would say if you want something really basic, I would check out either Crew AI, Small Agents from Hugging Face, or Agno. I'd look into one of those probably over LangChain. But they're all very easy to learn, and you can use AI coding assistants, kind of like what Spiritbox was saying earlier just a minute ago, to help you build these things, and they can leverage the documentation from Crew AI or LangChain or whatever to help you with that. I've never looked into AutoGen myself, though I have heard pretty good things about it. I just don't really have a reason to look into it over other frameworks that we've been talking about already. And then the Volt agent, I have not heard of the Volt agent. Is this going to be another thing that I'm going to have to look into? All right, Volt agent, open source TypeScript AI agent framework. Okay, so speaking of the TypeScript ecosystem here, we've got another contender. I don't know if it's better than Mastra in any way. That would have to be the real catch, see if it is or not. But wow, I mean, it looks cool. Oh, is it? It's a no-code builder. Wait, no, because it's TypeScript ecosystem. Why is there a workflow builder? Escape the limitations of no-code builders and the complexity. Okay, so maybe it's like you build in here and then you translate to TypeScript code, or it just uses TypeScript under the hood. It looks interesting. Okay. Man, this could definitely be another cool tool to use. Oh, is it like you build the workflow in Volt, but then like you can integrate it directly into TypeScript front end? Is that kind of what it's doing? Oh, and then it actually uses the AI SDK in their example, the Vercel AI SDK. Okay, that's cool. This looks really cool. I appreciate you sharing. I've not heard of the Volt agent before. Yeah, maybe I'm gonna have to do some kind of like dive into the TypeScript ecosystem for agents, because like when you build your front end, you build it with TypeScript typically. I mean, you almost always do. And then your backend, like I prefer Python right now, but like there is something that can be said for just having your entire ecosystem be TypeScript, especially if like you appreciate the type safety and things that TypeScript has that it's a bit harder to implement in Python. You have to use custom libraries like Pydantic, for example. So this looks really interesting. Appreciate you sharing that. I'm literally gonna like have an AI agent go through this stream after. And just like pick out all these ideas for me for things to look into, because I've got a massive list now for ideas for content. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. All right. All right. N8N question. We haven't had anyone ask anything about N8N yet. So yeah, about time. Good question here. Would you go with N8N in production or just MVP? I'm thinking of one N8N instance plus Llama index per client. So my general take on N8N, it is a platform that I absolutely adore. In fact, something that I did recently in Dynamous, by the way, let me just show this quick. I'll focus on this like really fast, and then I'll get to your question here. Something that I did in Dynamous recently is I did a community workshop. No, it's this one right here. I did a beginner N8N masterclass as an event. So this is a recording that's like available right when you join the community. I did like a 1.5 hour masterclass for N8N. Diving into like mastering building AI agents, like the foundations. So it's a beginner friendly masterclass. So I did this in my community recently. It's a huge attendance. It was like a really exciting event. So I did that recently because I do absolutely love N8N. Like definitely my favorite no code platform for building agents. Though what I always say is generally when I really want to build a production grade AI agent that can scale really well, and that I have the flexibility to do things like streaming output to the front end, which N8N doesn't do the best, I'll move to coding my agent. And so I'll start with a prototype in N8N because it's faster to build and kind of iterate on the initial things like my tools and my system prompt, and then I'll move it to code. And I can use AI coding assistants to help make that move really easy. One kind of golden nugget really quick, you can also take the JSON for an N8N workflow, like you can download the workflow, you can paste that into the AI coding assistant so it knows what you're trying to build for the agent. I've done that before quite a bit. It actually works really well. So there are a lot of people on YouTube right now that are like, "Oh, you can use Claude to generate N8N workflows," and like, "Oh, it's so cool." And like, it's neat. But like, actually, the biggest thing that I like using AI for with N8N is taking workflows and turning it into code, and that works so well. So that's my general take. I would say that N8N is very appropriate for fast prototyping, and also if you want to build quick internal automations. Like for example, within the Dynamous community, I have this automation where someone can go and they can enter in their Dynamous email and then their GitHub email in a form, like an N8N form, that triggers a workflow to get them added to my private GitHub repository so they can get like all the templates and resources that I have in the community. And that's like the perfect case for N8N. Like I could definitely build that out as an automation in Python code, but more for like internal applications that you're not scaling really heavily or deploying to users, like building that in N8N makes a lot of sense. And so it depends a lot on what you're building as well. But your whole idea of having like one N8N instance plus Llama index per client, like that is the way to go if you do want to use N8N. And for simpler things and things that don't have to scale really heavily, like, yeah, definitely go for it. So yeah, good question. What's your best tips for keeping your coding agents on guardrails? So I assume what you mean by this is more just making sure it sticks to the script, you know, like your global rules and things. And so, yeah, a couple of ideas with that. The first is that your global rules for your AI coding assistant, that is the place to dictate its conversation or its behavior, like as a starting point. And so anything that you want it to follow, like specific styles that you want it to follow for your Python code, or if you wanted to always make sure that it updates the tasks that you have in your task.md, or you want it to write tests after every feature it implements. Like you specify all of that in the guardrails. And if it doesn't listen to those things, usually it just means that you need to adjust your global rules and maybe be more specific or whatever that might look like. And then the other thing, just to like help your coding assistants in general, always provide examples. It helps so much. Like if you're working with the Vercel AI SDK, for example, or Pydantic AI, like go to their documentation, find an example that's building something like as close to what you are as possible, paste that in, and tell it like, don't copy this exactly, but like use this as an example, as inspiration for what I want you to build right now. And then also like if there are past projects that you've worked on and you're building something kind of similar, and I actually do this a lot, I'll go to my other project and I'll take that code, or I'll use the file system MCP server to have it like go out to that other project and look at examples and pull that in as well. That helps a lot too. Examples are like the best kind of like human driven guardrail that I've had for working with AI coding assistants. And then there are also other MCP servers that help. Like there's the sequential thinking MCP server that I find just kind of like guides the reasoning of the LLM better. That works pretty well, especially with Claude 4. Claude 4 like works really well with the sequential thinking MCP server. So yeah, I think those are a couple of the general tips that I have for that. What do you think of the AGUI protocol with HTMX? I have not used AGUI with HTMX. Is there like a specific integration that we have, or are you just saying like in general, like using HTMX for the back end or for the front end? I don't know. I haven't really used HTMX myself before. Cause it's kind of like, yeah, it's like something to build on top of HTML to give like Ajax and CSS and WebSockets and stuff, right? Yeah, I haven't really used it. I've heard about it before, but yeah, I guess I don't really have any thoughts on that. Are you open to collaborations or partnerships? Yes, I always am. For anything like open source or just like sponsor a segment of video, I'm always open to those things. So you can definitely go to my bio on YouTube, and then you can view my business email address. I don't want to just like paste it in the chat here, but you can. There's like just a CAPTCHA you have to go through, and then you can see business email, definitely feel free to reach out. So yeah, appreciate that. Your approach, consistency, and focus on the overarching principles as opposed to jumping from product to product is much appreciated and sets you apart from other content creators. Grade A++. Thank you. Yeah, you're very welcome. I appreciate that a lot because I do put a lot of effort into focusing on the overarching principles. And something that I say all of the time, I have this motto. I say capabilities, not tools. And all I mean by that is you want to focus on the more higher leverage skills that are going to translate no matter the tool you are using, instead of over focusing on mastering a very specific tool that, especially in the AI space, might become irrelevant in a month. And so, like, instead of diving really deep into, like, let me get super, super good at Crew AI, you should more focus on, like, what are the best architectures for building agents? Things that we've talked about already. How do you develop good system prompts? What does it look like to add the right tools to your agent? And how do you create good tool descriptions? Like all those things that are going to apply no matter the way that you build your agent in the end, or if you switch to another framework, like all those skills translate. And so, yeah, those are the overarching principles that I focus on. So I appreciate you calling that out because I put a lot of effort into that. While still of course, like I cover individual tools and things because like even though you don't want to focus really heavily on one tool, you still have to pick one. You have to build with some no code tool or some AI agent framework, but like don't over like hyper focus on it, you know. So yeah, thanks for that, RS. Best way or doc to learn prompt engineering. So I've got some videos on my channel where I dive into prompt engineering. Specifically, I have a video on my channel where I dive into like my full process for using AI coding assistants. And there's a lot of different prompting techniques and things that I talk about in that video. So I would definitely check that out if you're interested. It's too bad in a YouTube live stream because I do this in the Dynamous community all the time. Like when there's a question that I want to like give a resource to, I can reply directly to that comment, but I can't really do that in YouTube. And then if I paste the question way at the bottom, you don't really know like what it actually applies to. So yeah, I mean, I would just say like go to my channel and look for it's like it has like a cursor logo with you know like light bulbs next to it. Like that's my silly way to explain that. That's the video to check out for my full process for using AI coding assistants. And then also if you go on Google and you just search the prompt engineering guide. The first result that comes up, it's a website called promptingguide.ai. That's like my favorite resource to just like quickly dive into different prompting strategies and things like that. That'll apply both for like just general like working with chatbots and then also for AI coding assistants. Definitely at least starting with like going through the introduction and some of the first prompting techniques there, like zero shot prompting and few shot prompting, chain of thought prompting, and then also for sure the React framework, React prompting, because that's how AI agents work under the hood. Those are the things that I would focus on there. So yeah, promptingguide.ai, and you could Google that too. That's a really good resource as well. Is it good to use relational tables for knowledge AI, or is it better a single table or two tables? I guess I don't quite know what you're getting at here for knowledge, like for RAG. Yeah, I guess I don't quite know. Maybe you could elaborate more on this question. Typically for RAG, like if you're starting really basic, you just need a single table that has your documents with the embeddings for each row. But then if you get into something more like agentic RAG, like I cover, where you want the AI agent to perform a lookup, but then like also be able to search and see like which pages or documents are available, then I'll have kind of like what I call the document metadata table. So I guess that would be maybe the second table that you're talking about, where it's like you can zoom in and do a really directed lookup with RAG, or you can like look at what documents are available and then maybe like pull the contents of an entire single document. So yeah, I mean, a lot of different strategies for RAG. So the number of tables that you have just depends on that. I have to try Magnum ice cream. I have not heard of Magnum ice cream, but maybe I will. I don't know. Please censors. This is my last question. Yeah, sorry. I've been seeing your messages, Tristan, but I really don't know what's going on with that because it's got to be something like automatic with YouTube. Um, yeah, let's see. What about something like linear MCP for agent tasks? Orchestrator can write and read to linear. Okay, linear MC. I've heard of this briefly, but I haven't looked into it yet. Okay, let me share my screen. Is this what you're talking about? Is this the linear MCP? Because it has 300 stars on GitHub. So if this is like a bigger thing, it seems kind of small. Um, Linear. Maybe this is like because that's the problem. One of the problems I have with MCP servers is a lot of times there's multiple implementations for the same platform, and only one of them is like the official one, right? And like so sometimes it's hard to know, like, am I looking at the right thing, or is this the right thing? Linear MCP server. What does this accomplish? What is linear? Purpose built tool for planning and building products. Okay, I've never actually used linear before. It's a cool website though. They got a nice website. Powering the world's best teams like OpenAI and Cursor. Well, okay. That seems cool. I don't know, I'd have to look into this more. Manage projects end to end. Okay, do they have MCP? Where I don't know. I'd have to dive into this more because I feel like I kind of doubt. Is this it? Is this it? No. Okay. I don't know. I don't know if which one is the legitimate like full linear MCP server. Anyway. All right. I'll move on from that because I'm not totally sure there. Let's see. Using RAG with Google Drive plus Supabase. Sometimes it gives the wrong contact info, but fixes if I ask again. Any fix besides the system prompt? Yeah, so this would be a really good case to use something like an output guardrail. You'd have another LLM that evaluates if the response from the RAG agent is accurate. And the way that you could do that is you could have your primary AI agent cite its source. Like, I'm getting the contact information from this specific, document or whatever in Google Drive, and then your secondary, output guardrail LLM can take that source and perform that lookup. Like, go into Google Drive, analyze that document, and see like, okay, is this actually the right contact info? And then if it's not, then you would retry. You would reject and go back to your first LLM and your first agent, and then have it do that search again in your Google Drive. Or I guess I should say your Supabase knowledge base with the data coming from Google Drive. So I hope that makes sense. Output guardrails are perfect for that kind of thing. And then, I know you said besides the system prompt, but the system prompt is another thing that you definitely want to look at. I assume you're saying that just because you've tried a lot already, though. But yeah, typically, like, the system prompt is another good place to go. And then also, if you could like figure out any kind of pattern, like why is it getting the contact info wrong, or like how exactly is it getting it wrong? Like, is it pulling the wrong information but it's like legitimate from some other file, or if it's completely hallucinating? Like, that would also determine a lot what goes into troubleshooting that, getting that right. And then always trying different LLMs and like different filter strategies in your tools are good as well. So a lot of things that you can do with that. All right. From India, poor in studies like why like physics and chemistry, but I love programming. Do we need good college for good success? Because I'm getting bad college and I'm good in programming. Yeah, that's a good question. Um, so personally, I went to college. I got a 4-year degree, a bachelor's in computer science from the University of Minnesota, by the way, Twin Cities. But I do think that college is becoming less and less important over time. I would say it's a hot take, but I feel like everyone's kind of realizing that nowadays, that like college is not as important as it was even like 5 years ago, because like we're definitely kind of, my opinion is that we're seeing the gig economy become more and more of a thing. It's a lot more like people working for themselves, freelance, your portfolio, what you're able to accomplish, and like showcasing your skills in some way. That's more what's going to get you the opportunities and the jobs that you want, versus being able to like show like, oh, here's my 4-year degree. And so that's where I would say, like, yeah, you don't need a college degree as much these days. It's still important. Like, I wouldn't say that like you like just screw college. Like, it's still a good option for sure. And the thing that I feel like I've gained the most from going to college is just like learning how to learn. Like, I know it sounds super meta, but like going through like rigorous course material and just like constantly learning, like that being my full-time job for a while essentially, and then also being like a teacher's assistant and stuff like I was. By the way, as a teacher assistant for a C in assembly class, it was not fun to help people debug assembly code, but I did it and I learned a lot. Like you just learn how to learn. And so yeah, I'd say it's valuable, but like you definitely don't need it as much anymore. Like there's one guy in the Dynamous community. He was able to get his first couple of freelance jobs developing AI agents, like just from a portfolio that he essentially built up on X. Like he showcased projects and things that he built on X, and that's what he gave to the company when he got the freelance gig. And that just shows like if you can show that you have what it takes, that's the most important thing, even more than saying like here are my credentials, like here's my degree, or I have this AWS certification for a cloud practitioner. Like you don't need that. It can be helpful, but yeah, just show that you have what it takes. That's the most important thing. Steen said, I'm really enjoying the Q&A, learning a lot and getting a lot of ideas for things to try out. Thanks. Yeah, you bet. And thank you to all you guys for sharing different things to look into. Things that I haven't even heard of before, like linear. I'll have to look into that more. But yeah, I appreciate it, guys. Do you think MCP is production ready yet? I would say not quite. It's getting there. They're doing a lot with security recently. They're and like remote MCP servers and adding an authentication, like they're really getting there. Maybe not quite yet, and especially like there's just more overhead when you have to like deploy your MCP server along with your agent. But yeah, like I said, they're getting there. And the protocol is like it's got the most potential out of like any protocol in the entire AI space right now, honestly. So yeah. What do you recommend as a coding assistant? Cursor, GitHub Copilot, etc. Yeah, so right now I use Windsurf the most. It's just the simplest for me, and it does the job well. Especially when I have like good global rules and I have the right MCP servers, like my Crawl for AI RAG one and Brave Search. Though there are a lot of newer ones coming out, like I haven't really like fully given like Codex or Claude Code or Jules a shot yet, and I want to do that. Augment Code is another one that seems really promising that a lot of people are preferring now over all the others, and so I would say try out a couple of them. Like try out something like Cursor or Windsurf, try out Augment Code, give Claude Code a shot, like those, and just see what works best for you. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of a problem right now. There's so many AI coding assistants coming out. Like it's impossible to know like what one should I really use. There are a lot of really good ones. So, like RuCode is another one. So sorry, I know I'm giving you like 5 different answers here. But yeah, just like it depends a lot on like how simple you want it to be as well. Like if you want something that's nice and simple to get you started and does the job well, and like can understand your code base well, I would try Windsurf. And then if you really want to get complex and like build out a really robust agentic coding process, then look into something like RuCode or Claude Code, because you have that whole like parallelization thing that we were talking about earlier. Let's see. What framework would you recommend to build an agent flow like Cursor has? Multi-step, multi-turn. Well, I think that would kind of get more into the architecture that we were talking about with like the building effective agents. Multi-step, multi-turn. Like if you want to have like a multi-agent workflow, or you want to just like have some kind of evaluator loop for some sort of multi-step, I would look into some of those patterns that we looked at with that building effective agent article from Anthropic. And then, yeah, a lot of it depends on just like what your use case is exactly. Like a lot of times if you want an agent to like use a web search tool repeatedly to like do a more granular search over time, like a lot of that can just be through a system prompt. You don't even necessarily need a multi-agent workflow for that kind of multi-step. I mean, Cursor isn't open source anymore, so I can't say this for sure, but I don't think they really have a multi-agent workflow. I think it's more just a single agent that they prompt it to like look at a file, like here's your tool to analyze a file and like perform a search, and then here's your tool to edit a file. And so it can like use these tools repeatedly for that kind of multi-step, and that's all just done through the system prompt. And so a lot of times you can make these kind of seemingly more complex systems with just a single agent, just telling it like, here is how you use these tools repeatedly to search the web and then like do a more refined search, or look at a couple of files and then edit a couple of files, that kind of thing. So yeah. And then I want to end the live stream kind of soon here, so I'm going to kind of jump around and try to find the questions that I think will apply to the most amount of people just as we start to wrap things up here. So yeah, if there is a question that I haven't gotten to that that you really want to have answered, like you can always feel free to reach out to me. You can join the Dynamous community because I have 3 office hour sessions every single week, pretty much, where I have a full hour dedicated just answering your guys' questions. So it's a lot of like what I do in the Q&A. So like if you found this Q&A valuable, even just hearing from other people and their questions and things that they're sharing, my answers to stuff, or you just like the energy of having everyone's like super interested in AI, like working together, aggregating together, like definitely check out Dynamous AI because I'm doing this all the time here in Dynamis. And so, yeah, I'd highly recommend checking it out because I'm pouring myself into it. A lot of the things that we're doing here, that's what I do every single week, multiple times a week within Dynamis, just always having a blast with it. So yeah, just wanted to say that quick. But yeah, so if there's any question that I didn't get to, feel free to reach out. But I want to kind of jump around a little bit and like I said, just trying to find the ones that I think would apply to the most people. Like this one here, this is a good one. Do you think words like open source, free, and local are dirty words in the AI world? There seems to be a lack of awareness of how easy it is to get AI working for you locally and securely. I think you are definitely you're onto something here. Like I wouldn't say they're dirty words, but like people are maybe it's like daunting words to them more, where they're like, oh, that seems intimidating. Like I want to just stick with the OpenAI API because I feel like, oh, I got to get this really powerful GPU, and then like, oh man, like what do I use now to run my local LLM? And like, what the heck is quantization and these different LLMs? Like, how do I pick one? Like, yeah, that definitely is intimidating. And that's part of like my mission for my channel really is to because I focus on local AI a good amount. Like when I'm building out the local AI package and I'm building out my agents in a way where like you can use Olama for local LLMs. Like I'm trying to kind of get rid of that myth that like it's difficult to work with local AI. And even another thing really quick within the AI Agent Mastery course in Dynamis, the entire time I build out the template for the primary AI agent that we build in the course, I built it in a way where you can toggle between local AI and cloud AI just with environment variables. So it's one agent that you can have running entirely with the local AI package if you want, and then just by flipping environment variables, you can make it run with, like a managed Supabase and OpenAI API or OpenRouter. And so like that is always a pivotal thing for me is focusing on local AI, especially because the gap is closing very quickly between cloud AI and local AI. Like right now, the biggest and best LLMs like GPT 4.1, Gemini 2.5 Pro, Claude 4 Opus, like they are the best. They definitely beat out any of the local LLMs, but I think within the next year or two, that gap is going to be closed pretty much. And like anything that we can run locally is going to be, it's going to give us the power that we need for most of the agents and AI coding assistants that we'd want to create. That might be a bit more of a hot take. And definitely, it's been a while since we've had like some game-changing local LLM. Well, I say a while. It's been like a couple of months. I would say like a lot of the stuff done by like Quen and Mistral recently have been the most impressive things, and then DeepSeek before that. It's been kind of a couple of months since that though, but still like we're getting there. So yeah, I appreciate you calling that out. I've not tried Agent Zero yet, but I have looked into it a lot, and I've seen demos of it, and it seems really cool. In fact, some people have told me that I should partner with the guy behind Agent Zero for Archon, which I have thought about doing. But yeah, I mean, partnerships take a lot of time, so I'd have to be pretty confident that it'd be worth it. Is Pydantic alone as an AI agent enough for straightforward agent automation tasks? Yeah, definitely. I assume you mean Pydantic AI, not just Pydantic, but yes, definitely. Do you think there is a revenue stream in publishing and selling workflows on the N8N website? The templates there are extremely lackluster. I do agree. Most of them are pretty lackluster. Um, I would say, I would say more if you want to be someone like publishing workflows on the N8N website, like their template library, do it more as a funnel, like a lead magnet if you are a consultant. I know a couple of people doing that where like they'll have free workflows or maybe they'll sell some for like $5 or $10 or whatever. It's not going to be a huge revenue stream, but if people get hooked on your templates and they're better than all the lackluster stuff out there, which you could stand out pretty easily, then people will come to you and you can have some contact information in the description for that template. Have them reach out to you to consult and like build out more complex things for them, like as a client for you, or even better, build systems around end-to-end workflows and sell those systems and just use the templates as a lead magnet for that. Yeah, really good idea. JSON text from end to end is incredible. Extremely large workflows are just text. For I assume you mean for like feeding into AI coding assistants, like I was talking about earlier, for sure. Oh wait, oh, okay. Then Cam said, "I bought a few. I do some free ones, get some recognition, and build trust, and sell some more advanced ones." Okay, so that's exactly what I was kind of getting at there. So well put, Cam. I agree with that 100%. Definitely. Okay, cool. So wow. All right, it's whew, time goes so fast. It's already 10:48 my time here. Okay, so a couple of more questions, and then I'll have to call it there. So I'm gonna try to find just like the last couple that are like the most applicable to everyone that I can find here. And then I'll go ahead and call it there. So yeah, give me a second here to look through some of these. Man, there's so many good questions. Like I love these live streams. I always feel bad though. Like I can't get to all of these because there's so many good ones. Um, Man, there's so many good ones. Oh, here's a good one. I mean, I'm surprised no one's asked this yet. Like, this is always a good question to talk about. Do you think we'll have AGI within the next 5 to 10 years? That nobody will need to work because AI will handle every task better than humans? Um, I mean, kind of cop out answer. I feel like we really don't have a way to know. My inkling though is I feel like we will. I mean, 5 to 10 years, so much can change in 5 to 10 years. I mean, just think of how much has changed already with AI just in the last 3 years. Like 2022 is the year that GPT 3.5 Turbo was released, and that's kind of when people like really started to kind of like pay attention to large language models in mass. And like only 3 years later, it's like crazy now that we have companies like Anthropic that literally have 70% of their code written by AI now. So we're getting there. I think I honestly I'm kind of betting that we will get to AGI in the next 5 to 10 years. And then there's not a ton of stock behind me saying that, so like don't like take my word for it or anything. And it's really just speculation, but I think there's a very realistic possibility for sure. Yeah, but good question. And like I said, not a lot of stock behind it. Like I'll be honest with you guys when I like kind of give more of a speculative answer. I don't know for sure. I will be honest, but yeah, college is more about politics and activism these days. Unfortunately, people get distracted from their education and distract others. Yeah. Let's see. All right, I'll do like two more questions here. Someone said, "Bro, truth, augment code is a game changer." Yeah, I've tried it already, and like I might dive into it more later because I agree. AGI will happen when they pair agents with quantum computers. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, that's something that I wanted to mention quick. Is that like a lot of people are starting to say that like quantum computing is kind of coming up fast, and like that might be kind of the next big thing, not necessarily to like replace the hype of AI, but exactly what you're saying here, like pair these things together. There could be a serious opportunity for that. So yeah, love the Q&A. Thanks for making videos approachable and easy to catch up with. Yeah, you're very welcome. I appreciate it. Thank you. I appreciate it, Spirit Box. Keep crushing with Dynamous AI Mastery. I will continue to do so for sure. Thank you for the shout out there. Um, I disagree. It's not time for local AI yet. Well, I mean, I don't think it is. Not yet. I think that we're getting there though, and like local AI is good for a lot of solutions, and sometimes you need to have local AI just for like privacy that you have for your use case. But I mean, yeah, like definitely there is still a gap between local and cloud AI. Um, okay, I'm getting some spam here. I don't know if yeah, okay. So someone is spamming. Sorry guys for. Can I remove? Well, yeah. Well, I'm about to end the stream anyway, but sorry, there's someone spamming. I don't appreciate it when you spam in my live stream. That there's no reason to do that. Yeah, so I'll go ahead and end here with a donation, and then I'll go ahead and call the stream. But yeah, thank you everyone for your wonderful questions. Thank you, Johnny, for your $10 donation as well. 2024 is the year of agents. 2025 is the year of MCP. 2026 is the year of cognition. I could definitely get behind that. I mean, a lot of people are saying more that like 2025 is the year of agents, but I definitely think it's kind of the year for like protocols as well. So like you said with MCP, But then also we're seeing like A2A and ACP, and Vercel AI SDK put up their data streaming protocol, and we have AGUI for connecting agents or front ends. Like we're starting to see a lot of like standardization of things to like really make it possible to build systems that integrate with other people's systems with agents. So you can really kind of have like a network of agents running in the cloud. And yeah, definitely we're seeing that with 2025. So yeah, I agree 100%. But all right, yeah. So I think I'll go ahead and call it there because it's already been about 2 hours for the stream here. But man, this was awesome. I had even more fun with this one than the last that I did last month for the Q&A. So thank you to everyone for your amazing questions like usual. This was an absolute blast. And I know that I've already said it like 5 times, but I'm sorry for the questions that I couldn't get to. I really, really wish that I could get to every single question. So yeah, definitely I'll put the link into this here just to close off the live stream here. But yeah, definitely check out Dynamous.ai. If you want more like this, you want to dive deeper into AI agents, you want to go through a full course where I cover building AI agents from the ground up, definitely check out Dynamous.ai. And then also you can always feel free to reach out to me with questions that you have. Post comments on my YouTube videos as well, especially if your question, relates to what I'm covering. I think that'd make the most sense. But yeah, I'm always active replying to everything in YouTube and in the community. So yeah, thank you everyone for this. This was amazing. Always have fun with these, and I hope that you guys all have a fantastic rest of your weekend. So with that, I'm gonna sign off now. Take it easy, everyone.